All right, synchronize your watches. We have just a little more than 40 days until the Iowa caucuses. Donald Trump still has a sizable lead in New Hampshire and South Carolina, but Texas Senator Ted Cruz has a commanding lead in Iowa. Cruz and Trump kept it cordial at the last Republican debate. Instead, the Texas senator tangled with Marco Rubio on immigration, which we just talked about. In a recent campaign stop, though, in St. Paul, Minnesota, Ted Cruz met with Hardline host Ed Berliner. The Texas senator believes the grassroots movement has been the strength of his campaign so far, and he contends that he is not a Washington insider and has the ability and knowledge to motivate the conservative base. That will be important. Cruz says those voters are the key to making him the nominee and the next president of these United States.
You are a road warrior. You're on the road right now. You're hitting all kinds of cities until March the 1st. It's a mad dash to get to Super Tuesday. Okay, why is this trip so important? Right. And what are the American people going to hear from Ted Cruz in this trip that they haven't heard before and they need to hear?
Well, look, from the beginning of our campaign, we've been running a grassroots campaign. The strength of the campaign is the energy and passion of the grassroots. And so our approach, we're running very much a national campaign. We've got an amazing team. You look at the first 4 states, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada. We are all in Iowa. We're all in New Hampshire. We're all in South Carolina. We're all in Nevada. We've got an amazing team on the ground. But 10 days after South Carolina is Super Tuesday. It's a so-called SEC primary. It's states like Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas. We're in the midst right now of a Super Tuesday road trip all across the country. So we started the day in Las Vegas. We had a huge rally in Las Vegas. We're right now in Minnesota. We just had about 700 people come out in St. Paul, Minnesota. It was an incredible, powerful gathering. We're now flying to Virginia. We'll be in Virginia tomorrow. We'll be in Georgia after that. And we're going through, in 7 days, hitting state after state after state, covering the Super Tuesday states. And the reason is, I believe, are going to win because of the grassroots, because of the conservative grassroots who are fed up. They're fed up with Washington. They're fed up with politicians who don't tell them the truth. They're tired of campaign conservatives, people who talk a good game on the trail but haven't walked the walk. And I think they're looking for a consistent conservative, someone who's been the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I think that's the reason we're seeing conservatives uniting behind our campaign.
So what are you saying to them, though? Because when you talk about the grassroots and they're sick and tired of Washington,
yes,
end of the day, you're going to wind up maybe in Washington. So what are you going to say to them that's going to make them absolutely convinced that Ted Cruz, the senator now, is not going to turn into just another Beltway insider that will not get the job done?
Well, you know, Scripture tells us, you shall know them by their fruits. It's easy to talk a good game, but the question is, have you walked the walk? You know, if you think back to 2013, when millions of Americans rose up against the disaster that was Obamacare, I was proud to lead that fight. You look at the other very fine men and women on that Republican debate stage. None of them were anywhere to be found. 2014, when millions of Americans rose up against President Obama's unconstitutional executive amnesty, once again, I was proud to lead that fight. And once again, the other men and women on that debate stage were nowhere to be found. And you can go, you know, just a few weeks ago. You remember the California presidential debate at the Reagan Library. Mm-hmm. Just about every candidate looked in the TV camera and said, we should defund Planned Parenthood. And just a couple of weeks after that, there was a knockdown, drag-out fight in Washington, D.C. on exactly that issue, defunding Planned Parenthood. Millions of Americans rose up against Planned Parenthood. Pastors all over the country lit up the phone lines calling their members of Congress. Once again, I was proud to lead that fight. And once again, every single man and woman on that debate stage, they were nowhere to be found. It was like they were in witness protection. And I think that's the reason we're seeing conservatives unite behind us, is because people are tired of the empty promises. You know, I'm reminded, I had a former boss who used to say, if I'm ever accused of being a Christian, I'd like for there to be enough evidence to convict me. Now, listen, I think that's powerfully true, but it's equally true of being a conservative. If you say you're going to take on Washington, show me where you've ever done so before, where you've ever stood up, not just to Democrats, but to leaders in our own party. I think that's the reason conservatives are uniting behind our campaign, because I'm the one candidate on that stage that has a proven record over and over again of standing with the American people against the Washington cartel.
Well, you can catch the rest of Senator Ted Cruz's interview with the Hardline's Ed Berliner this week at 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You want to check that out. And here is a preview of the next part of that interview.
Senator Rubio admitted in the debate not only that he supported amnesty, supported President Obama and Chuck Schumer and amnesty, but that he still supports amnesty today. On that stage, he said he still advocates a pathway to citizenship for those here illegally. He had avoided saying that in the previous 4 debates.
That debate rages on the campaign trail. And in that interview, Senator Ted Cruz will talk more about his duel with Marco Rubio on the issue of immigration. Should be interesting to catch that as well. Again, that's coming up 6 p.m. tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, you can reach out to us. What do you think about this ongoing battle between Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio? We'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us, newsmax.com/comments or facebook.com/thehardline. We'll be back with more right after this.